Page 106, dry bones. At the top of the page, they're introducing you to the A-flat major scale. Yay, team, A-flat, 4 flats. This would be the time to go do my scale video on A-flat major. If you don't know the scale at all, do the beginner part, just 1 octave up and down. Just learn the notes in the scale and the fingerings. That's it, that's good enough. If you've already been through these scales once and you've already been exposed to this scale, then go ahead and do the intermediate level, the 2 octaves up and down. It's close enough. However, they give the scale to you here on this page, but when I teach scales, I don't use music so much. I'm focusing just on the keyboard and the fingers. You'll learn to recognize the scales in music when you see them. But for dry bones, I'll point out a few things here. I'm going to start with the right hand. At the beginning there, at the bottom there on page 106, pickup beat or a pickup eighth note. It's a half a beat because it's in common time. It's here. The melody's the top note, so if you can play that note louder. And I do a 1-4 here, not a 1-5, because on the next measure on these chords, I do a 2-4-5 and then a 1-2-4. See, I'm in this position, and I just stay in this position for the first couple of measures or so. So at the beginning it's here, and then going on, this is okay here. Remember the D flat, and then again a 2-4-5, going on, same fingering, 1-4 at the top of the page, 107. Protect the melody, the top note. That's what we want to hear, and so bring that out. And I'm finger it the way they show you. It's fine. That's a good one. I like that. Going on, same fingering. I'm stuck with this fingering. I love the fingering. Second line, last measure. 1-4, and then here is a 2-4-5. It's the same idea. I'm in this position. That's the chord. I'm just playing various notes in the chord, so it's here. And then the first measure, the third line is here. And then here, we're going up chromatically, a half step. And again, 2-4-5 on the last measure, third line. Going up again. Again, 2-4-5, second measure of the fourth line. This is fun. And the last line, 2-4-5. Now, second measure. Here, 1-4 on the first one, the F, D, but I do a 1-5 on the second one, so I can. It's more comfortable for me to do that, and then I can do third finger. Here. It's the melody. That's what I'm after. The whole thing was done to support that. For the left hand, you do it like they're telling you to do it for the most part. It's here. You're in this. It's a 1 chord in the key of A flat. Remember to do the primary chords. They'll introduce them to you eventually. And that's what you have here at the beginning. Now there's a note there, all bass notes staccato. So you're going to nice light wrist staccato. And the next to the last measure on page 106 on this chord, use a 4 on the G if you can, because that's the fingering for this chord. Etc. Till you get over to page 107 and the last measure of the first line here. Then going on. Rather than a 5th finger for the first note on the second line, because you just played a 5th finger, I suggest you use 3rd finger because you're there, and then a 2, 1, and then a 3, 5. This way you can feel your way around. You don't even have to look down eventually. So the last measure of the first line going in to the next line, it's here. I like that. Then we're going up half steps. Look at the last measure, the second line. Then the second measure, the third line. I do a 5 here. Yeah. That's what they say to do, so I guess. First measure, the fourth line. It's the same finger, 5, 3, 1. And then going on to the last measure of that line. It's just wonderful. Then you go down to the bottom, the last line. Then we got to turn the page. So on page 108, remember we just used a little finger on the last note. So on page 108, when you start, I'm recommending you start with third finger and 3, 2, 1, and then 3, 5. Same thing on the going from the second line, the last measure, to the third line. Same fingering. You're here, and the third line is 3, 2, 1 to start, and then 3, 5. Then we're going to go chromatically back down. It's basically the same thing we've already had. So those are the fingerings, and you'll see the same pattern in the left hand over on page 109. So when you get to it, same fingering on that too. Now, at the bottom of page 109, it's the next to the last line, the last measure. When you have these, the chord is this. And I recommend fourth finger on the C. It's what plays it. And last line, again, the chord is this. You just take all those notes and hold them down. That's the chord. And the fourth finger's on the G. And then the next measure, you're just going down the scale. The last note's an A flat. Okay. Then we got to go back and we add in the dynamics. They don't give you a lot in dynamics, so you can kind of fudge them a little bit. You got words if you want to sing the words. I'm singing the words, but you can sing the words if you want. And there's some notes at the bottom of the page 107. First one is you can play all the eighth notes long short. We can swing them, and generally we do. For instance, go over a page 107 in the second line. It's here. So I'm just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and have some fun with it. Anyway, they give you some other ideas for the words. You work your way up the body on all the different bones and have fun with the bones, I suppose. Now, at the beginning, it says very soft. The idea is we're going to sort of build up and come down and whatever, so we're going to start really, really soft, and that's the melody. So everything else has to be under that. Now again, the left hand's staccato, the right hand's not. So can you do that? And then when you get to the dry bones, those are accented and they're staccato. You bring those out. Now it's not a short staccato, they're really just disconnected. So it's when you get to the top of page 107 in the first line, that's a medium loud. You're coming up a little bit. You're coming off the dry bones from the second measure there. Well, just start at the beginning of the line at the 107. Now we're medium. And then come back down. Now we're going to go up to soft here. So it's a... Their dynamics are suggestions. You don't have to do those dynamics. Experiment with it. Once you get it learned, experiment with these dynamics and see what you think it is. The staccatos in the left hand are more important, and the accents in the right hand, when they happen, are important. And that's what you want. So the third line, second measure. Fortissimo, because when we got down to the last measure of the fourth line. You see the double bars? That's a new section. Now we've gone into loud. So now at the bottom, you're very loud. Now, if you're going to play this for people, you got to be able to turn this page. How do you do it? We practice page turns if we have to. Both hands are busy all the time, pretty much. So there's no real time we can do this. I mean, it's nice to have rest. Scott gives one hand time to turn the page. Well, so what we have to do, sometimes we leave out notes. Well, I hate to leave out notes in the left hand because it has this pulsating beat going throughout the whole thing. I don't want to lose that. That means the right hand has to do something. Well, the only thing I can see to do is on the last measure of page 107 on the dotted half note, play that more like maybe a quarter note or something. And that way you can take the right hand real quick and turn the page before you start the next measure. Just remember there's a pickup note there in the right hand. So it's here, and then turn the page real quick, and hopefully you can get it turned in time to go on. But at the top of page 108, then we're very loud, and we're in C major here. We're going to start coming down chromatically now. Now we're going to gradually get a little softer, I suppose. See, we're getting softer. Top page 109. Now we're sort of soft. Ha. And then keep getting softer. You're back down to sort of soft, or very soft like we were at the beginning. Then we get very loud at the end and majestic. Majestic is my stoso is majestic. You kind of slow this down. Now it's the finish and you're here. Here we are, finally we're done. By slowing it down, I mean you just immediately go to a slow speed. So if I start with that fourth line, you're still here, very soft. Now we're... And when you get majestic, short staccatos don't work. You more or less make them disconnected. Don't make them short. Because you're very loud and it's majestic. And then accents on the end, and you're done. Then that's the bones.